federal government is now working hand in hand with many states across this country, because they're paying them to do it, to suppress your Second Amendment rights, because the federal government can't do it, but they sure can get the state to by paying them. What are we talking about? Well, we're going to talk about that next. I do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Victory Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, for not only supporting this channel, but really supporting our efforts on our car channel to be able to get content that we normally couldn't get without their support. But they're a great partner to us here at God, Family, and Guns, because they have food pantries. They support battered women. It's a different type of organization that revolves around being the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. So they're a natural partner. I'm going to put their link there. They'll ship you anything. So check them out below. According to the new White House initiative to essentially implement safer states, the White House is now working with individual states to suppress your Second Amendment rights. So I want to take a moment and talk about what these new initiatives are. Let's start with that if your state will implement certain gun restrictions, and we'll talk about what those are, then they receive part of $1/3 billion that will just go to states who then do the bidding of the federal government when it comes to suppressing your Second Amendment rights for the sake of safe states. Now, part of that would be database is a big piece. Being able to, anytime anything happens with guns, put that information into a federal database, which normally will go to the state, normally goes to state police, that sort of thing. But no, now this is going to be going from the state to a federal database. So really anything that takes place revolving around guns in the state will now be a federal issue, no longer a state issue. Beyond that, any sort of gun restrictions when it comes to licenses that they'll require you to have in order to purchase permits, so to say, the state will get funds for that. In addition to that, a lot of this funds is also built around showing the political system how to pass these laws. So, for example, if your state Congress is desiring to pass certain anti-Second Amendment, the federal government will show them how to do that, because they've essentially kind of blueprinted. That's why we see, when California passes certain anti-Second Amendment laws, we'll see those same laws being almost like just carbon copied in other states. And this is why, because the federal government is organizing all of this. And by the way, all of this can be seen on the White House website. I'm going to put the link below. Definitely check it out. But right now, the vice president is traveling the country, meeting with state representatives to show them how to implement these anti-Second Amendment efforts, because in the end, what it comes down to is the federal government knows that they can't do it, but the states sure can. So they're showing them how to do it. In other words, the federal government is playing the states as if they're puppets in this whole anti-Second Amendment effort. And of course, almost half of the states in our country are willing to comply to get a hold of some of that funds. Because that's in the end what it's all about. It's $1/3 billion being divvied up to different states to implement the federal government's bidding when it comes to anti-Second Amendment efforts. So there you go. Any thoughts or insight, definitely put that below. I would like to take a moment and say, if you feel called to support this channel to Patreon, that link is also below. But by far, the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.